To another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We have quite a large show today with what we've been playing. We got some news to get through and a lot of emails. There was some big scuttle with Gamestop this last 2 weeks.
There's a bunch of random Gamestop stuff.
I'll just say up at the top, we got a lot of emails. I did not pick all the emails about GameStop because a lot of them were very close and similar. But know that we did I at least read them all. So we'll get into that when we get into the emails. We're going to start as we always do, talking about what we've been playing. I will go first, and I'm going to go kind of like in order of most recent. So this past Friday is we're recording on a Sunday. Dead Space came out, so I've played about 2 hours of Dead Space. Dead Space Remake's fantastic because it's exactly what you expect it to be. There's a little bit of changes because this time, in the original one, there was no voice actor for Isaac Clarke. They brought back the guy that voiced him in 2 and 3, so now he's in Dead Space 1. So they've rewritten a lot of the dialogue to match, because before, like when you played the game, like every time there were interactions, like through your comm link or whatever, it'd just be the other people telling you what to do next. So like, well, we need Isaac, we need you to go here and that. Now he's actually having conversations. So
that's good.
Which is cool, and that's fine. Like it's the same voice actor.
That's the proper way to like remaster a game. That's the proper amount of like stuff to add to like tweak.
It is a rebuild of that. I'd say it's on par with like Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake, where they've rebuilt it. It won't be as jaw dropping because this is a remake of a 360 game versus a PS 1 era game.
It's not that old.
So you're not going to be that blown away. But the biggest thing is the lighting. Like they can do so much manipulation with lighting now that they could not do 15 years ago. So, which is crazy to think that game's already 15 years old. Because when they first announced it, I'm like, do we really need a remake of Dead Space? But then I was like, yeah, it's been 15 years. And if you want to bring it back for a new crowd, because it's been an entire console generation with no Dead Space.
Right.
If you want to bring it back and get people in, this is the proper way to do it. The other thing I'll say, like, and I think like it's like as close as it can be to a remake, but they do change up like enemy placement and stuff a little bit, so things might not happen the same way as you think. Like even if you look back at the Resident Evil 2 remake, there's the famous scene where I want to call it the crawler, you know what I mean, the liquor, crashes through the window. They kind of fuck with you in the remake. They do similar things here in this remake, which is cool. So it's not always going to be identical, but it's pretty close. And the thing that gets me as I'm playing it is like, I'll get to an area, and because the lighting is so different, I don't recognize it until I'm like halfway through the area, and I'm like, oh shit, this is this part of the game.
Oh yeah.
And that happens a lot, which is pretty cool. The only other weird thing I'll say about it is they did also like scan in the actor that plays Isaac Clarke. And he is much like they went with he's the age that actor is today, which is a little weird. And they did the same thing for his wife's character. So like when the game starts, the first thing you see is his wife, because this whole point of the game is like you are going to this derelict ship to find your wife, to find out what happened, because she was doing some sort of medical mission. And the first shot of her, it's like she's a lot older. And that kind of took me back. So I'm like, I don't remember her being that old. And then when you control Isaac Clarke before he puts his helmet on, you swip around, he's got gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So, I mean, if they choose to do a Dead Space 2 remake next, like I'm sure they'll just keep him at that age, which is fine. It doesn't affect the story anyway. Yeah. So, but it's an interesting choice. So, I'm having a blast with it. I'll probably have a little bit more to say about it next time I record, because it literally just came out. But it's been a fantastic experience so far.
Good.
Good.
The next big thing that I've played,
especially too considering against Callisto Protocol, right?
It's better than, like, as I said on a previous episode, like Callisto Protocol had a terrible melee system. This game doesn't. Obviously, It has the same melee system it had before, where you can, and it's fantastic too, because like you can like explode body parts with your foot when you're mashing like whatever button, and that's how you get like extra ammo and stuff too. That's a fun part of that game. But it's a night and day experience coming off of Callisto Protocol, where it had that fight night melee system. It just doesn't make sense. So, which is a shame, because every other aspect of that game, for a little bit I played of it, was really good. It's just that part of it ruined the experience for me. So
yeah.
But yeah, this is, if you played Callisto Protocol and you wanted to play a Dead Space like game, use your opportunity.
Yeah.
Just
it's
play
weird
the
that
again.
it's weird how close they came out together.
It's really weird. It's almost like EA planned it.
Yeah, a little bit.
The next game that I played, and this is surprising, you know, I turned on my Switch for the first time and for more than 5 minutes in like over a year. Fire Emblem Engage came out. I got my collector's edition. Dan, you got your collector's edition.
I got mine too. Yeah, I don't know if I ever will, but I have it.
It's really good, because I'm in the camp that I didn't like Three Houses as much because it expanded too much into relationship building and taking care of like whatever house that your clan is a part of.
Sure.
And like, well, that stuff's cool, but like, I'm really there for the strategy battles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the story is usually pretty good too, but I'm there for the battles. This kind of takes and severs that part of it out, so it's more like a classic Fire Emblem. The thing that's interesting about it is all of the characters from previous Fire Emblems, and I'm not big on the Fire Emblem lore, so if anybody, writes in and is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But like, each of these characters, like Marth, and some of the other ones, they're all trapped into these different rings in this game.
Okay.
And it's set like way farther in the future. So your main character, for example, she has a ring that's attached to Marth. And so she can call upon, like, I guess I will say his spirit. That's kind of what it is, because it's in this ring.
It's like a summon,
and he'll fight alongside you. And then the whole point of the game being called Engage is you can engage with him, and you kind of like mesh your bodies together, and then you become like super whatever that character's name. You can create your own name for the character. So
okay.
But yeah, and I'm playing as the female version of the main character. But that part of it's really, really cool. And it's just I'm more shocked than anything else how good and well it runs for a Switch game.
Yeah,
because we've had these conversations over and over again, like, how is the Switch? It's 6 years old. You know, we get a lot of bad ports, but you have to remember, this is a first-party Nintendo game.
90% of the time.
99% of the time, yeah. Unless it's Pokemon, the game runs like flawlessly.
Yeah, but Pokemon, you remember Pokemon is also like, that's like that its own team, and like those guys make Pokemon, and they seem to just be content with just kind of like not upgrading that system enough and just mashing more crap into it, so it eventually runs terrible.
I think the problem with Pokemon specifically is they really want to do new things with it, and that engine cannot support it.
No, it can't.
This point. Mm-hmm. They really need to just go, and I don't think it will ever happen, but they really would benefit from, like, all right, no more Pokemon for 5 years. Let's build a new engine. Man. It's not going to happen.
I can't imagine
a 5-year gap.
That ever happens, yeah.
I just can't imagine it either. But the other really cool thing I'll point out about Fire Emblem, I don't have a lot to say about it. I played like 3 or 4 hours, but I'm actually going to continue. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay.
I like that after the end of every battle, and this speaks to like how quality everything is in the game. At the end of every battle, you can actually walk around in third person on the map. So they've like 3D rendered every one of these maps that you're seeing from like a bird's eye view. And it works really well. Like, these environments are really impressive. So the graphics, it has a full voice acting. I think the last couple of them really have, but it's really fantastic. I've always liked Fire Emblem since those 3DS ones. That's where I jumped in on the series. So this one is a good one from what I've played. So highly worth your time.
Nice.
Good return to the Switch after like 2 years. So
maybe
I gotta get ready for Zelda.
Actually open it. Yeah, and you got Zelda in a couple
I gotta get ready for Zelda.
Yeah.
Next thing, I obviously you can probably hear my voice. I've been sick this last week. I've played for whatever reason, and we're going to talk about it in the news because there's a lot going on with 343 and Halo. But I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite multiplayer and having a good time with it. I played like yesterday. I was messing around with my computer and I ended up playing like 2 hours of multiplayer matches. Wow. I played a big team match and actually had fun with it. And it worked well, yeah. So, like, I don't know. Like, the game's working well. And a lot of it is they went back and they finally fixed their progression system so you get experience for kills and playing matches. It's not just doing ridiculous things. Yeah, it's not just... They still have those challenges, but you're not tied to them to progress. So, and that makes it a lot more fun. So, there's 2 other big games we'll talk about. One is going to lead into what you've been playing. Actually, we all played it. But before that, Kingdom Rush. Remember the old PC game, Kingdom Rush?
Yep.
Came to Xbox. I was just randomly messing around one night on the store. It was $10. It's Kingdom Rush.
I mean, that game's been out for what, a decade or at least?
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised it hasn't come to consoles sooner.
It's a little weird because it's a pretty basic game. Weird.
So, but it works really, really well.
Yeah, I love it.
I played like 2 or 3 hours of whatever night I bought it because I was like, you know what? I have a credit here. I'll just go ahead and pay for it. So.
I used to play it on Congregate. Remember that?
Yeah, I have it on
Gamestop.
Steam. That's right.
Congregate. Yeah, I played it on Steam.
I remember that.
I think on my phone. Like it's on. I think it's on Switch too, but it's not on PlayStation, of course, for
it's weird.
Whatever reason.
Weird that it's not. I'm sure it'll come there.
Maybe.
And then finally, the big thing we can all talk about is we all played it. GoldenEye is now out for Xbox platforms and the Switch. All 3 of us have played the Xbox version. It, for better or worse, it's GoldenEye.
Yeah, read that.
We can stop.
We got an email about it. Read it.
Yeah, we got an email about it. That'll kind of lead into what we have to say about it. So, we got an email from Clint from Spotsville, Kentucky. He says, "Hey dudes, I was curious about your thoughts on the sudden drop of GoldenEye this week on both Xbox and Switch. People have been asking for this for years and years, and now that it's here, I can't help but be disappointed. I'm playing it through Game Pass, but it just feels incredibly rough and almost like it's not ready for release. Have any of you had a chance to try it yet? Thanks." So, like I said, we've all 3 played it. I 100% agree. It's rough. It has frame rate. Like, I'm playing on a series. I think we've all are playing on different versions of the Xbox, right?
I think so.
I'm on the Series X. Dan, you're on the One X.
One X, yeah.
And Matt, you're on a One S. I'm on the highest tier system. I shouldn't see any frame rate issues with a Nintendo 64 game. And yet, it for better or worse, because of how it's emulated, it runs like that 64 game.
I've had a couple weird things, like people walking into walls, getting stuck in walls. Just odd, like being in front of a glitches. Guy and he doesn't see me, even though I'm standing like directly in front of him. I had a problem too in the facility level where you have to go through that door to get into the tanker room at the end. You have to use that thing on the door. Yeah. It was just not doing anything. I just was like, what? Am I missing something? Hammering the buttons, like toggling, changing my gun back to the thing, all kinds of stuff. And eventually it finally worked, but it took like 3 minutes.
Well, the thing you have to remember too, it's a 64 game. There's no checkpoint system.
Right.
Like if you have to restart for any reason, you're starting that mission again.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just, it's a version. It's just the game again. And it looks slightly better. In my head, I know it's better than what the 64 one looks like. I know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it still doesn't look great.
The best way I can describe it, it looks like if I were to play it with that HD adapter for the 64, like the HDMI one.
Yeah. Or that's what it looks like.
It doesn't look like a remake.
Would have looked like, yeah.
It doesn't look like a remake. It just looks like it's upscale.
Yeah, so. I wouldn't even call it, like, it's not a remaster. It's not a remake. It's just
that fucking game. Here you go.
Yeah,
Stop talking about it.
You get to play the game again, kind of a thing.
Please stop talking about it now.
Yeah, and then
leave us alone.
Stop asking.
And then obviously, like the weirdest part about the Xbox One, or not the weirdest part, but like, there's no multiplayer like online. It's you can play offline, and I found out that you can start the offline multiplayer with only having one controller connected. It's kind of weird. So you can kind of load in, and you can get all of the like multiplayer achievements that way. Well, most of them. There's a couple you can't get because it's locked out of. You can't play certain game types. But yeah, it's the same. It's the same multiplayer maps. I don't know. I think it controls pretty good. Like it could be better, but
for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's out. It's here. We can all stop talking about it, and it's not a big deal anymore. I mean, Perfect Dark. the remastered Perfect Dark for the live arcade thing is better than this is.
I loaded it up right after because I was like, I just have to see it. I have not played the Perfect Dark remaster since it came out 12 years ago, and it runs so much better. It plays so much better. I can't remember. I would assume it had online multiplayer, but I can't remember. I think it did.
But and I know you could at least do like the counter op and the co-op stuff. So it
yeah, because I did that with a friend at the time. But yeah, I ran through one of the levels and just I had so much more fun playing that than the 3 levels of GoldenEye.
It's a better game.
It's a better game.
It was a better game at the time anyway. But
I maintained that when I was like 15 when that came out.
Yeah.
So,
but like, this version of GoldenEye, it is what you asked for, I guess. It's GoldenEye.
It's here. You can play it now. Yeah. So with that, that's what I've played. I'll turn it over to you, Dan. You can talk about you.
So I haven't played too much like other things other than GoldenEye was like the only like new thing I played. I'm still going through my backlog trying to finish up like everything else I've got that just needs to be cleared out before other things come out. Like all this, I've got multiple Final Fantasy games coming out in the next 6 months that I've got to play. Just all kinds of stuff. So I played more wrestling, just trying to get trophies and stuff for that. I maintain that game is actually pretty good. I'm trying to power through the My Faction card trophy stuff because my fear is now that the new one's been announced for March, that this is going to get shut off.
Actually. Yeah, it's
shut off pretty quick. So, rendering all of the trophies and stuff for that useless. I doubt they'll update it. Maybe they'll keep it alive for a little bit, but my thought would be they would try to get people to move on to the next one and spend virtual currency on that as fast as possible.
I would bet you have a window to like May or June at the latest.
Yeah, so I just you gotta put in a lot of time to get the trophies out of that. So I just have to do a couple matches a day and try to get it done. The only other major thing I played was Midnight Suns. The first DLC pack came out where you could play as Deadpool. Which is, it's a little weird because you have to be at a certain point in the story to be able to get him. It's not like he's just like unlocked from the start.
Sure.
You have to get to a point where you've gotten Spider-Man to join your team. And then it just kind of shows up as a mission on like the mission map kind of a thing.
Okay.
It's typical Deadpool stuff. He talks to the camera. He'll make comments where he's talking to you, the player, and then the other characters will be like, who the hell are you talking to kind of a thing. I like it just because all the other characters just hate him. Like they all just hate him.
Sounds about right.
Blade is like legitimately pissed off that he is there and involved with the team. So that stuff's kind of funny. The mission structure is it's the same as the main game, except instead of having 3 people on a team, you just have 2 people. His cards and stuff are actually pretty good. The way he fights is pretty good. You can take him on normal missions too, which is good because I have to go through an entire second playthrough of this game to play as like the dark side to finish the trophies off, which takes a while just because you don't have that many options to add like dark choices to your side. So it takes a while.
Yeah.
But this is the first of 4 DLCs. There's still Morbius, Storm, and Venom to come out. So this will probably be my journey for the next 6 months, every so often having to pop this disc back in and
pop it in and go back.
Yeah, and just run through it. The only thing is I've only done a couple missions in it because I read online that 3 of the trophies tied to this pack of the 5 are bugged and just don't pop.
That's bad.
Including like beating his stories, beating his his specific challenge map, and then getting his like research upgrades, which just adds a food truck to the compound, which is stupid. So it's cool just because it's more Midnight Suns. I really like the game. I hope it did well enough where eventually they'll consider a sequel of like this style of game and maybe a different storyline. But
I think it will. A lot of people were talking about it when it came out, and I think it sold pretty well.
It's really good. Like it is actually a really good game. So the DLC, it's more of the game, so there's nothing wrong with it. So I'll get through that and be done. I've got and then just other random PlayStation Store stuff for trophies.
That game is actually made by the XCOM people, right?
Yeah, it's for Axis. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great. It's really good, but that's pretty much it for me. Other than Babylon's Fall finishing the grind. The game's bad.
I don't think anybody
wants so bad.
Until you platinum it, then we can go. Congratulations.
I've got about a month left.
All right.
How about you, Matt? What you been playing?
So I have just been playing Assassin's Creed.
Odyssey. Okay.
I am trying to honestly stay as devoted to that as I possibly. So my goal in 2023 is to finish games that I start.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good goal.
So I've been trying to nail that down. I try to at least, if I can, play maybe like an hour a day to try and just see. But my issue is like I keep getting stuck on these side conquests and side missions, and so I'm like, I play like 2 or 3 of those, and then I'm like, I stop.
That game's good for side missions.
Yes, and I mean I'm having a blast with it. I also like the fact that the sailing isn't too heavy on it, so I mean I can appreciate that. I don't know. I'm having a good time with it so far. Like I said the last time we talked about it, that definitely doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game.
No,
no.
That kind of started with Origins.
It's the new era of Assassin's
They feel like
Creed
their
games,
own thing, yeah.
Yeah, which I'm not totally mad about. It's just taking some time to get used to.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked to see where it goes. So I'm gonna try my hardest to stay up on it so I can get through it. Hopefully, at least get through the main part of it within the next month or so. And then other than that, I did start playing 2K23 or WWE 2K or WWE 2K22 again.
Getting ready
to get prepped for 23. I'm not 100% certain if I'm gonna buy it yet, but I kind of do want to buy it, the collector's edition, just because I'm not even a John Cena fan, man, but I just think it looks pretty cool.
His career mode thing, I think, will be pretty good because you're gonna get a lot of really awesome matches.
What was the last time? Was it 2K15? He was the cover art? I'm trying to think. That was because I think that's the first one I played when I kind of got back into wrestling. I remember him being the cover art.
Yeah,
it was 2K15.
It would be around there.
And then 16 was like Steve Austin for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it was 316, WWE 16.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Okay.
But I mean, I think I might buy the collector's edition and just kind of see what happens before I
see what kind of reviews it gets. Hopefully, it's not a 2K20 or whatever.
Yeah, but then I can't really. I'm not too mad though because I still had fun with 2K22, so it's kind of like even as long as it's not like, oh man, this one is like 2K, 20
or 18 or when they started to die off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be happy with it. But other than that, yeah, those are really the only 2 things I play. I play a couple of I think I ran a couple of rounds of Vampire Survivors. That game is still a lot of fun.
The game's still great.
Other than that, that's it. I mean, I'm really gonna power my ass through Assassin's Creed Odyssey so I can at least say I beat the freaking game that I paid money for.
No, that's definitely good. Yeah, well, we can kick over to news. I actually have one thing I'm going to add in here that was breaking as of I think last night.
Ooh.
This was a GameStop leak.
Oh well, there's.
I think I seen pictures of it, but it appears that AEW, what is it? What is it called? Fight Forever.
Fight Forever.
Yeah. Apparently, that is scheduled for April. No date, just says hold for April. So I can see it. They want to compete with the WWE game coming out March, so that makes sense. But I just thought I'd throw that in here because I saw that last night. I thought it's interesting. We've talked about it a number of times on this podcast. Like, when is that game going to actually come out? So it sounds like April. So that's when I'm gonna seriously wait and see what the reviews are. But I would like to try it.
Just because they want to try to get some of the Mania money, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, capitalizing, because I think after their next big event is in February, isn't it? And then they don't have anything till May is Double or Nothing. Yeah. So because they don't have their Mania is All Out, which is in September. So
yeah, they're not going to actually try to compete with actual Mania, but a video game.
No, they're going to compete with as close as the other game comes out. That makes sense. So
yeah,
but interesting. So we'll kick it off. Some of these news articles are a little old. Obviously, we've record every 2 weeks, but the first one, this actually got me a little disappointed as well. But There was a couple images leaked of the Suicide Squad game showing a battle pass and confirming the game is a game as a service game. Disappointing.
It is, and
I don't think it's what people want that game to be, though. They want it to be another Arkham-like game.
Right, yeah. And I mean, if you ask me what I want, I would want a 4-player play through missions and it's a story and we play through.
If it's all cosmetics, but the thing that people pointed out in the upper left right hand corner, there's 6 different currency types.
Oh wow!
Oh,
I mean,
I don't think that's good.
DC games don't tend to shy away from that. Remember, Injustice had a shitload of currency types.
Injustice did, yeah. So
if the battle pass is literally just all cosmetics and it's stuff that's not going to affect me, then that's fine. I don't really care because that's something that also, as long as it's something that kind of comes through as I naturally play the game, I'll get cosmetics. Fine. If all of the stuff I can pay real money for is just cosmetics, then that's fine too. I don't care about that.
Exactly.
But that's a slope that, I mean, look at it. Avengers tried to be games as a service, dude. Shutting down.
Yeah.
It's over.
Exactly.
So it takes away some of my anticipation for the game, whereas
a little bit, yeah.
Because then that means it's going to have an end game that you get to repeat over and over and over again, and it's probably not good. Look at Avengers. So it's
exactly.
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, do you think that game still hits May 26th, or do you think it's one more delay?
It's got to by now, man. It's been 2 years.
That's what I would think too.
It's also the only game they've worked on, but it's the only game they've worked on since Arkham Knight.
No, it is. They've literally not.
They haven't
made
a single other thing.
Yeah. So you think they want to get this thing out the door?
That means it's been 8 years since they've released a game.
Yeah. Damn. Exactly.
Come on, man.
So it'll be 8 years in June. Yeah. That's when it was June of 2015.
Yeah, so, yeah. So I think it'll finally make it. Obviously they just did that thing where they showed Kevin Conroy is in it. So there's not much left. There's not much left to announce about the game. I think we have a pretty good idea of what the game is at this point, except for this battle pass shit. But we'll see. I still want to play it, but it'll take away from me. I don't know. It feels icky. Battle passes feel icky.
It feels a little icky, but the battle passes always do. So, as we just mentioned, Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol was outsold in its debut month in the U.S. by Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. and it really reportedly missed its sales targets. Now, when I say outsold, I pulled up the list, okay? Mario Kart 8 was number 9 on this list, right?
But hang on a second, though. This is December?
December.
So this is Christmas.
The game came out beginning of December, though. That's had its full month.
But this is Christmas, so obviously Mario Kart is going to sell for Christmas.
Well, what do you think? Out of a list of 20, where do you think it landed?
What? Callisto?
Callisto.
Out of 20?
Out of 20.
15.
17.
Oh. Ugh. What was the game right above it?
Game right above it was Nintendo Switch Sports.
Okay. And what about right below?
And then above that, right below it was Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Oh, I'm kind of surprised on that. You think that would have sold
number 20, just to throw it in there, number 20 was Gotham Knights. I'll just read through the top 5 here. Call of Duty was number 1.
Sure.
Pokemon, Scarlet and Violet, number 2. Yeah. God of War Ragnarok, number 3. Madden, and then FIFA. So
yeah, Christmas games. Yeah.
I'll also throw in there, Sonic was number 6, outselling Elden Ring, which was number 7. So that's pretty impressive for Sonic.
I mean, that is hopeful for Sonic and going forward.
It is.
Yeah.
You also got to remember, Crisis Core came out in December. That debuted at number 10.
That makes sense. That's about right.
Final Fantasy, that makes sense for me. So, but yeah, interesting list. That's rough for Callisto. I mean, to be fair, that game had to come out before this Dead Space remake, because if it had come out after, I think it would have been even more slaughtered at this point in terms of some of the issues. So they kind of just had to get that game out. So
yeah, they were out of time.
Next story I just put in here because I think it's funny. Rare's Lawn in development Everwild is still in active development, possibly late 2023 release.
I keep forgetting that's a game. I literally keep forgetting
because all they do is update Sea of Thieves. So that's why I'm like, are you sure you're making this other game?
I mean, don't we just
Sea of Thieves?
Just keep making Sea of Thieves, man. That's what people want.
That game has really taken off. So Yeah, it's crazy. Some of the biggest news here. This is combined into multiple articles. Obviously, the tech industry had a ton of layoffs last week. Not just Microsoft, but like what was it?
Google.
Upwards of like 200,000 jobs or something in
just
total. A lot. But Microsoft was hit with 10,000. The hardest, and a lot of Microsoft was other departments, not Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, remember Microsoft does quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah. Windows. But 343 was the hardest hit studio. They lost about 450 people. Wow. There's also, because of this, they also lost the Infinite director, Joseph Staten. He left to just go back to Xbox Publishing. That's where he was before. So they clearly just ripped him off of publishing to get Infinite out the door. He probably was like, I don't want to make Halo anymore. Went back to publishing. We've had other ex-developers now come out and say like how in dire straits that studio is. It's a mess.
The studio clearly hasn't been good for a while. Like for a long time, pretty much. Like
one of the biggest things that you have to remember, as I've read into it a little bit, is they're not like a typical studio will hire people for the entirety of a game project. They're doing 18-month contracts on a new engine that they built, right? So you have somebody work for 18 months on something else, and then you bring somebody else who has no idea what this engine does. now you know why Infinite kind of launched weird and wonky. So I think Infinite's is in an okay place now, especially how much multiplayer I've played recently, and the co-op
2 years later.
2 years later, but again, I don't want to see another MCC. Like, we're going to take 5 years to make this better,
right? And have to apologize.
But also at the same time, like
the whole time.
I honestly think Halo as a series just needs to be put on ice for like 5 or 6 years. Don't make another one.
Yeah.
Concentrate on some of these other studios. Microsoft has so many studios,
which still have not released games. Still,
supposedly they will in 2023.
Well, I mean,
we'll talk about that a little bit here.
It's coming up. We'll see.
I threw this in here because I thought this is interesting. Persona 3 and 4 just released. They're on everything. It's not just Xbox. They're on Switch and PlayStation. On the Xbox Series X and S, you can run those games at 120 frames.
Can I ask a question?
I just think is hilarious.
Why? Who cares? It's a PS2 game. Like, what do you need? What business do we need running PS2 games at 120 frames?
I'll say this. When I get to the point where I'm going to sit down, at some point this year, I'm going to sit down and play 3. It's the one I have not played. Mm-hmm. I will run it at 120 frames and then report back.
Yeah. I just need,
does that really make that big of a difference versus
possibly
60?
Look like against 60 frames? I mean, it's cool that it happens, and obviously going more frames is always going to be better to a point.
Right.
Eventually, your eye can't see it, so there's.
Like I'll say this, like I have the ability on my OLED to do 120 or 60. I'll turn it to 120 whenever I play Infinite. There, it's like a slight noticeable. It's not like going from 30 to 60 where it's incredibly noticeable. So
well, that's a little different, but I laugh that they're 2 PS2 games that are essentially can run it.
Hey man, but GoldenEye can't run it.
Well, that's a 64 game. That's older.
True. Marvel's Avengers, your favorite game, Dan. Ending support soon, finally.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Like, it is.
And Spider-Man will remain exclusive.
Well, I mean,
forever.
I could have told you that already. Well, I don't think that was ever happening. But I just left it. I mean, I'm in no way surprised that Square has decided to just dump it. I mean, technically, they already dumped the studio. So what are they? Yeah, they're publishing this, and like, who's actually working on it anymore? Who cares? I laugh that it's the kind of thing where we're turning off support. We're going to make all the cosmetics free so if you paid for them before, fuck you,
fuck yourself.
And,
yeah, exactly.
But we're going to leave the game up so you can keep playing it, even multiplayer. Like, wow. Maybe. Okay. I mean, sure, but you're never going to update it again. So it's just, now it is literally doomed to be the same stuff over and over again. And the only real story stuff they ever released was that Black Panther thing, which, they never did it. They should have done something with Spider-Man. That would have been cool. I guess he has his own game. So. Yeah. So I just, I'll be clear and say I never bothered with DLC or extra characters because I got the Platinums before they came out and couldn't be bothered to go back. And I don't think did they add trophies? No. So that's why I never went back. But yeah, it's just another one of these things where you wanted games as live service. This is what you get. 2 years of kind of support, and then it's gone. Oh well.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Like, good riddance to that game.
Oh, Skull and Bones, another favorite around here.
Yeah.
Obviously, game. I think we talked last episode that it's been delayed again to maybe by the end of their next fiscal year, which would be April of next year.
Yeah.
Now they've gone as far as they are refunding digital pre-orders of this game. So
remember they did this with Prince of Persia?
Know. They did, but Prince of Persia, for all intents and purposes, is dead, right?
That's gone. I mean, I don't think keep saying they're working on it, but that's got to be a lie at this point.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
But Skull and Bones, I'm going to be honest, who had a pre-order for that, or who still had a pre-order?
I don't know.
I know that you and I
am interested. I'm cautiously interested, but I wouldn't pre-order.
Well, I was gonna say you and I believe in pre-orders for certain things. Certain things need to be pre-ordered, or if it's something I know I'm going to buy. Why not pre-order it? Who cares? Or if I want a bonus, why not pre-order it? Who cares? Who pre-ordered Skull and Bones? I mean, maybe when it was first announced.
Digitally.
Where
there will never run out of a copy digitally. Right. That's the point. I bought Dead Space digitally because if I did, it was $10 less.
Sure. Yeah.
For the Xbox, because I have Game Pass. I'm sure. I didn't do that months ago. I did that 2 days before it came out.
Yeah.
So just so I could preload it,
Yeah, and that's realistically the only reason you'd ever want to pre-order anything digitally is for preload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just wild. I never understood.
They got to give you your money back because that game, who knows? Maybe it'll come out.
So, obviously, I mentioned, Xbox, maybe we're having some games come out this year. They had their first, which seems like it's their first of their, PlayStation event or Nintendo Direct type showcase.
Mm-hmm.
They had their it's called Developer Direct. They had a shadow drop of a game. I should have mentioned this in the games I play. I did play a little bit of this. Tango Gameworks, makers of Ghostwire Tokyo and The Evil Within, have made a completely out of their typical type of horror game, crazy animated video game called Hi-Fi Rush, which just seems like a spiritual successor to Jet Grind Radio or Sunset Overdrive.
Oh, another awesome game. Yeah.
Got great music. I played the first half hour of it. It seems fantastic. It's reviewed fantastic. I think was it you that sent me the meme of Forspoken versus that game? So
the two big exclusives of 2023 so far for each one. And before anybody says Forspoken is a Square game, yeah, but Sony paid for that marketing. Sony pumped that game up hard. It was on my system every time I turned it on. Check out this.
I heard they were running commercials for that during the football games, which that seems crazy.
They might have been. I don't remember.
So they put money into that game.
Probably blacked out
to market it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I played of it seems good. Shadow dropping anything is always a cool thing, but
normally Nintendo. Normally it's Nintendo that does it, but this is
normally it's Nintendo. Yeah, so it was really really cool to see that. I'll play more of that. I'll have more to say about that next time we record. But yeah, as far as that whole thing went, we did get dates for everything except one thing, which is bizarre, but it was clarified later that it'll release by the end of June, and that is Forza.
Okay.
So they did clarify later that first half by the end of June that will be out.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good.
First thing they talked about was Minecraft Legends. I actually got a chance to. I was sick. I got a chance to watch this whole thing. It was really well done. Minecraft Legends, April 18th. That continues to look fantastic. It's a real-time strategy game. But what I like about it that I disliked about Dungeons is in here you can build. You're building your bases and stuff. Yeah. You can't really build anything in Dungeons.
Dungeons is a fun game, but it is definitely more. It's just Diablo, with
it's
Minecraft
Diablo, but
over the top
with a really weird upgrade system and loot system. It's just bizarre. This looks fantastic though. I can't wait to play it. They talked about Forza, like I said, that was the only one that was coming soon, and people got up in arms, why is there no date for this yet? And then your buddy Major Nelson, of all people, tweeted and just said by the end of June. So Tango Gameworks, obviously, they revealed Hi-Fi Rush. It was surprising. I thought they would be here talking about Ghostwire Tokyo because that exclusivity ends in March, which means that game will come to Game Pass.
Oh,
kind of like
right,
Deathloop.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's still going to happen, but I guess do they really need to talk about that game? Like people probably kind of know what.
No, you know what it is.
Tokyo is.
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool game. This was probably the one downfall of this showcase. I felt they wasted time on Elder Scrolls Online, just talking about the latest expansion. It's cool for the people that like that game. As a big Elder Scrolls fan, I've tried to play that game like 3 or 4 times.
I tried once or twice. Yeah, it's cool for what it is, and I know people will play it a lot, but
I can't get into it. It's just such a slight difference from the combat of the regular games that it just throws me off. And then the big one that everybody obviously, Starfield wasn't here. Supposedly that's the next event they're going to have, but Redfall got dated for May 2nd. What I liked about showing Redfall here is like the first time they showed the trailer, it was very focused on the humor and the characters, which I don't really think showed the game as well as it could have. No. This whole presentation showed what the game was for like 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I now can tell you, what the purpose of that game is, what they're doing, how the co-op works. Like they showed everything they needed to show about that game to get me excited to play it. I still think it looks fantastic.
It looks really cool.
So it looks really good. That's made by Arcane, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so that May 2nd, what they're doing. Yeah,
they know what they're doing. So, and specifically, it's the studio that made Prey.
Right.
And has made this game. So that's what they've been working on since Prey. So they just had an idea for a game that it was kind of the interesting part of it because they talked to developers a little bit and they just said, hey, we had the idea for what type of game we want to play and make. It's this. So I thought that was pretty cool, but that's out May 2nd, so I'm really looking forward to playing that.
Yeah, and that's something, obviously free on Game Pass, and I'm definitely, we're going to play that for sure together.
I'm really excited to play it.
That looks good.
Speaking of Starfield, Starfield possibly not coming out first half of 2023 now.
I wouldn't have told you.
We've talked about it.
Like, I don't,
I think it's later too.
It could be. It could be like July. It could be September. I mean, who knows? Depends on if they have a big thing for. If Forza is going to hit by June, that's the summer title. Then, right? They still need something for the end of the year to have an end of the year game.
Unless it's Avowed or one of these other ones, but I just don't think so.
No, well, I think it's this.
But
Starfield is the biggest one, so.
Yes,
and it's also the one that
this game has to come out this year.
Right? Yeah, I think it will. But I think it will too. It's also the biggest one, and of all these games that are also on Game Pass, it's the one game that would actually sell copies too. There are people who will just buy Starfield and won't buy Game Pass because they don't care, which is silly, but I understand it at least.
Exactly. So, but I see it too as closer to fall. It could even be September.
It could be it could be August. It could be anywhere around there.
Because even if that game comes out in September, that game's going to sell well during Christmas.
It's not. Yeah, it's not before Redfall, is what I would tell you. There's no way.
No, there's no way. They're not going to cannibalize that game.
Yep.
So, I think you put this one in here.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I laughed at it. Stranger of Paradise could get a sequel if fans want it. Sure, I still have not played. It's on my list to play.
Well, they finally all the DLCs are out, so the game is done. So it did its year cycle of it being a game with content coming out. So I think it was the producer came out and said, if people really want it, we could make a sequel. Which I just kind of laughed at it because, as someone who liked the game, it's not great. I can't imagine too many people actually played it, and I'm not even sure what a sequel would be at this point.
I'll tell you on my PlayStation friends list outside of you and one other mutual friend, I had 2 other friends that played it. Okay. I was surprised.
Maybe that's enough
people played it. Yeah, people played it. Yeah. I was surprised. So
I got it now that all the DLCs
I still have it sealed.
I'm just waiting for the season pass to go on sale at some point, and then I'll buy that and finish it up.
You threw this in here. MLB 23 cover reveal is on the 30th.
It's tomorrow.
Which is time of our recording.
But that's good for me because then that means I finally get the news cycle for it is hitting, because that game should be out in 2 months. So they've been releasing teaser things every day for the past couple of days of trying to hint at who it's going to be. And I think I know who it is. And it's kind of it's not the choice fans want, But apparently it's a guy who plays the game a lot, so obviously it'd be easier to partner with him.
For sure.
So, and it's a lot of people think it's gonna be this guy Jess Chisholm from the Marlins, which is fine. He's good, but I mean, I just care because they updated all their profile pics to 23, so that means I'm getting my news for the game. That's all I care about.
There you go. The next one is part of the GameStop stuff we're going to talk about this episode. I'm going to let you run it down because you got some hot news, hot insider scoop on some GameStop scuttle.
I go to the Reddit and I read it, and I've got a couple friends that still work there, and noticed something funny was going on. So apparently they're changing all of their tracking like fiscal metrics again to further screw over SLs again. Where now they're tracking more. They're like tracking more things as opposed to like 10 versus 6. They're tracking the amount of sales versus the amount of people that walk through the door, because they now have sensors and stuff in the building that can, not every store, but some stores have sensors and stuff that can tell. Like,
where would they place such a sensor? Like,
I think they're like the ceiling things, because it's like a heat map kind of a thing, or like and by the door or whatever. But like, so if let's say the UPS guy comes in and has to go back in and out 5 times, that's 5 people going in and out of the door. So that's part of the problem. I could be wrong about this stuff, but this is everything I've read as much as I can. The biggest thing they did is there's no more overtime offered for store leaders, but they didn't raise their salary or their pay rate to match the fact that they're taking away 4 hours of overtime a week for a year. So they're effectively giving you a hidden pay cut. Not only that, but they used to have this like bonus program where like every 2 weeks you could earn a bonus. Well, now it would be a higher bonus now, but they more than doubled the amount of goals you need to hit in the bonus. So it's unlikely you will. So that's another good like sneaky taking away pay from you. And just as an example, someone I know, this is going to affect them by like $10,000
a year off their salary.
Like, oh my God, I have to tell them like, how can this not be the sign for you to be like running and screaming?
Yeah.
Right. It's just unbelievable.
I mean, if it's this bad this year, you can only imagine how bad it's going to be next year.
Yeah, if there is one,
this is a sign of exactly that. This is a big sign. If you haven't got out or thought about it, like really now, you need to think about it as a store leader. But I mean, anybody, anybody. So just it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
We got a lot more to talk about GameStop when we get to emails here, because that's only part of
that's a small part of what happened.
Last, 2 weeks. So sort of. I mean, it's definitely game adjacent news, but the Last of Us TV show obviously been incredibly popular. I've only seen the first episode, but I enjoyed it very much. I think the casting is pitch perfect. Mm-hmm. That Pedro Pascal guy, he is Joel as far as I'm concerned. Like straight up, like he embodies that character. They've already renewed it for a second season. Not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised.
It is. I think it is only behind, of course, House of the Dragon is like most watched HBO original now. So, and that's cool. It's cool to see something positive happen with a gaming property taken to a TV show or movie. We're in an era now where we're starting to get good video game adaptations in movies and film, but it's good to see that they are really treating this properly.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I think I'm just gonna wait until it's all out and then just go through it.
It'll be all out by mid-March, so it's not gonna be that long.
I'm just gonna run the whole thing. And then another thing funny too is like mentioning like video game adaptations and stuff is during the football games today they showed another like version of the Mario thing where you finally got to hear Seth Rogen talk as Donkey Kong.
Does he sound okay?
He sounds like Seth Rogen is just Donkey Kong. So it's something you've never heard before. It's just Seth Rogen. Like I don't
think he made that promise though.
No, I know, but I think the only thing that's going to end up being bad with this, like, it looks incredible. I'm sure the story will be fun. Like, I have nothing against the movie at all. I'm going to go see it. I know I'm going to love it. But I think the voices and stuff are going to be weird. And I think it's going to be the kind of thing where it's going to take maybe a couple times to watch it to be okay with it. But it's always going to make me wonder, why couldn't we have gotten voice actors to do this and not actors to do it?
Yeah.
You know, it's a little strange.
Less.
It would have cost a lot less, to be fair. But yeah, he talks, and it's just kind of, wow, that is just you could close your eyes and it's just Seth Rogen talking. So okay, fine, whatever. But you know, it's just more Mario movie stuff.
Did Mario talk more in the trailer?
He said the word meow, and it sounded like Chris Pratt saying meow.
Okay,
because he got he got a cat suit power.
Go back and forth on Chris Pratt. So. Yeah. But I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not.
Sounds like Seth Rogen. Didn't he just sound like Seth Rogen in that Lion King live action? Because he was the voice of what, Timon or Pumbaa, one of those two characters.
Oh, I don't know. I would assume it was.
I think he was the voice of Pumbaa.
He was the voice of Pumbaa. Did he just sound like Seth Rogen though?
I would assume.
Dude, I didn't even watch.
I did not see it because my girlfriend is very anti any of those live action remakes. Every time I bring them up, she's like, "Just watch the original."
So, yeah, my kids haven't watched it yet, so I could not tell you.
So, let's see. Last news thing, I just threw it in here because, of course, the ongoing Blizzard Activision saga.
Oh my god.
They had a new interview with Phil Spencer after that developer direct. He just kind of went on about how it's been a learning experience, but he's extremely confident it will close this year. It does not. I really don't think it's going to go through at the end of June like originally planned.
No.
Because of some of these other things, but it probably the end of this year. So
he just seems really willing to make concessions to make the deal happen.
Because they just want it done.
They just want it done, because it's it's really just Sony holding it back. And again,
at this point,
holding it back for no reason. They keep Diablo. Sure. Diablo. They're gonna get Diablo. They're gonna get Call of Duty. Come on, guys.
Yeah. So we will transition here. We'll get to emails. I will go ahead and kick it off. The first one we hear here, we're gonna jump right into the GameStop fuckery that happened. This, of course, comes from a redacted location. Your favorite, Dan.
I love them.
This comes from Jerry. He says, "Hi guys. As of today, former district leader. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first district leader.
I believe at least someone that's identified themselves. And
okay.
And so everybody knows.
Haven't, that's fine. That's fine.
So everybody knows the date of when this happened. This would have been not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So because it's simply referred to as Black Tuesday for a reason.
Yeah.
So as we'll get into. I don't want to reveal my location yet. Whatever,
But we don't want to either.
I've actually had a few. We don't want to either. Yeah. I've had a few of my SLs mention this podcast before. This last weekend, I listened to the previous 2 episodes. I didn't know that I would be writing in so fast on what I'm sure will be called Black Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of DLs, and all of Level 2 tech was suddenly let go today. I can't say I didn't see this coming. I did, but it was still surprising. I wanted to reach out, as I'm not sure if you've had any DLs ever reach out on the podcast, but I can assure you, while a lot of the brunt of the complaints fall on DLs, a lot of times it is because we have to follow corporate. Trust me, in the last 5 years, I've had to let go some truly talented people that I didn't want to fire, but I was given no choice. I've had to enforce policies that are straight up nonsensical because of corporate. I was lucky to still work in the district where I think most of my team trusted me. I can't imagine this company being around in the next 5 years. Well, I'm sad I got the axe. I was with this company for 15 years. The weight and the stress are all gone, and that is a feeling money can't buy. I'll miss the good times, but I also feel like it's time to move on to the next chapter. You guys have a great podcast, and you get it, which is what helps. Thanks for taking my email." So it's nice to hear from a district leader, especially because they're I know managers crap on them all day. Not all of them are bad.
No, they're not.
You know what I mean? And they're forced.
Actual employees at GameStop or who get it know that 90% of what they tell you is not their decision. You have to remember, store leaders, we got crapped on a lot from DLs and everybody above, but DLs get crapped on from regionals too, man. It's just it falls all the way down. Regionals get crapped on by VPs and stuff to an extent, but I don't think it's anywhere near what DLs or store managers get. Not all DLs are bad. I've had bad ones over the years, but I've had a couple good ones here and there. And not all store leaders are good or bad.
That is also
that's
true.
a huge mix too. It sucks. This is typical GameStop of just like, wake up in the morning, gee, what are we going to do today, guys? I don't know. Maybe we could fire everybody. That sounds good. And they just, you call up these people and be like, you're out. So now it sends everybody through a shuffle. Now we got to realign in the middle of an SL2 program where I'm now hearing that there's SL3s and stuff going around.
How, and especially with those hour cuts, like how are they supposed to devote that much time between three stores?
You can't.
You can't. It's not possible.
No. And then, well, not only that, but like, most stores run single coverage all day now. And that just is what it is. And, I read a story today about someone who I'm single coverage. These 4 guys came in, they distracted me, and now I lost 11 controllers. Geez, shocking. But again, that goes back to because his DL or somebody or his region or whatever said controllers have to be on the floor. Because they have no sense of what's going on. District leaders, at least, most of them, visit stores enough to at least understand what it's like on a day-to-day basis. Whether they choose to believe it or go forward with that knowledge is on them.
Yeah.
But regionals have no fucking clue. They come up with stupid ass do this and that and directives and stuff, and they have no clue. I think that's honestly the bigger problem position in that whole company is that right there. Like the districts, like there's a lot of yes men people that eventually get to district leaders, and 90% of them are going to be that where they just kissed ass and threw other people under the bus and everything, and that's how they got that job. Every so often you get one like the last one we had where that was the best one I had, and when he came to tell me it was done, since it was him, I was okay with it. If it had been somebody else, I would have had a fucking problem.
If it was the previous guy,
if it was him, man,
it would have been bad.
Would have been bad. But it sucks that Jerry lost his job in this way. I'm happy for him to be out of GameStop, and I'm happy for him to understand that like it's only a good thing that this happened in the long run, because especially being a district leader at GameStop, and he's worked at GameStop for 15 years, this guy can go almost anywhere. Especially because places are looking for jobs, like he can find something. But this goes to store leaders too. Like you can find something too. I know we say it a lot, we preach it a lot, but it's because we believe it and we know it for a fact. Like you can do this. Like it's just the shit's coming even faster now because they just got rid of all these people, all these DLs, right? They fired Tech 2 support, which are the people you call when it's like, hey, my computer,
I remember having to call them.
The internet doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or like
I can't
my POS
open this
is
register
frozen.
today. Yeah,
like nothing is working. Those are the people you end up getting to. Like there couldn't have been that many people, but hey, cut costs wherever. So now who knows how to do that? Nobody.
Well, I would assume, are they just going to outsource that?
I would have to assume,
or like, because like, they can't just not have that. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I mean,
maybe for a day, but
maybe they make you suffer through level 1. And level 1 is outsourced.
Well, that leads into our next.
Well, but hang on real quick, because the other thing that like the next step of all of this, is like March is coming up here, man, and fiscal season is over pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
And so was a lot of people's rents, right?
Yes.
So what do you think is
usually
next?
It's around March.
Usually it's around March. So who do you think
January
is next?
Through March,
yeah. And you're going to see stores start to disappear, and it's going to start to become a thing where, remember when, if you lived around here, we always used to laugh because there were 6 GameStops within like 15 minutes of each other, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many is it going to be next year? 2? Maybe
Probably
1?
2.
Who's going to be left? 2. Yeah, so it's just nuts.
Exactly. It's I mean, again, the store we worked at, we were less than a mile from the other store in the same
about a mile
town.
and a half. Yeah, it's literally in the same town. We were both called.
To get there within 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like no joke.
We actually used to see it as a positive because it was like we didn't have something and they might, and so on. But yeah, it was always kind of a joke because then the other store was 15 minutes that way or whatever.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just there's more coming. This is just the beginning.
I just need the one by me to stay open through Zelda. I'm good.
Yeah, I think that's probably
I gotta reserve that. Yeah, because Amazon's fucked me so much recently. Like Zelda, when I went to pick up,
should get some kind of promo thing too.
Fire Emblem. I was like, you know what? I'll just pre-order Hogwarts while I'm here because I already got that Amazon email like it's not going to hit on February. You might get it in March or something. I'm like, what the fuck?
What is wrong? Yeah, Amazon's been weird lately.
Because and this will come up in another email we have, but that game is the #1 selling game on Amazon right now. So I'm sure the orders for that game are absurd. Yeah, so they have to fulfill all that. But
but again, it's Amazon.
I know, exactly. Like, that's at the same time.
If it's Amazon and I'm Prime member, I should be getting the game the day of release, no matter what the game is.
Right, right. Prime member. That's.
But so I just paid for my Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm game.
Yeah.
Because I had a gift card to Amazon for this right amount. Sure. I was like, sure, this is perfect to get it through here. Yeah, I might get it 4 days after release. On Amazon. Like, what?
Exactly.
Not that I cared about that game that much, but like, that's stupid.
Exactly. It's been weird.
Yeah.
So, next email, more of the GameStop story. This comes from another redacted. This is from Tim. It says, "Hey all, this morning I found out this is all from the same day. So this morning I found out that not only has our DL been fired, but we no longer have level 2 tech support. What the actual fuck is this company trying to do to us? Who am I supposed to call when I have a problem? Who is next to go? Sorry, I wanted to vent. I was curious if it ever got this bad for you when you were at GameStop. Thanks." Not this bad.
No, I mean, this is.
We had days.
Yeah, I mean, this is unprecedented level type stuff. Like, did it ever get this bad for us? I mean, we would go through realignments where one day you just be like, "Oh, you're in this new region, or you're in this new district. Yeah. This is your new manager. This is how it all works now." I remember one of the things that was like kind of fucked up is when they changed us all from salary to hourly because they were afraid that they were going to get caught in some kind of trap for like the amount of money people make versus time. So they had to rework everything so that we couldn't. Remember, I had to work mandatory overtime.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't work anything past my mandatory overtime. So it was always like hard to schedule. Whereas before they could treat us like slaves and we would just, hey, Christmas week, you work 6 days, 60 hours, enjoy. And you're like, nothing I can do about it, I guess. But yeah, it never got this bad. This is a new level. The level 2 tech support stuff, I laugh just because if you've worked at a store, stuff there is notorious for just not fucking working. Like, it just doesn't work. And very few people know how to fix anything. So from what I read about this level 2 stuff is like some of these guys, I've seen them on the Reddit and stuff, were actually like, they knew how to fix all this stuff, how to fix your Wi-Fi problem. Because, that store is very heavily dependent on having an active internet connection for most things. But they were the ones who would fix that for you. Or
they're always usually really friendly too.
Yeah, those guys typically.
I had to call once because the registers were not booting correctly. And one of the times that I opened. And then, like I said, they got me through it. I mean, I was still able to get that done right before the store opened because that was always my fear of like, oh, great, So, and I have definitely been, and I'm sure you've had the situation happen too when you've been working there. But I've definitely been in a store where the registers go down at a peak time.
Oh yeah,
and then customers do not understand.
Pin pads crash, like just like. But there's frequently times stuff just doesn't work. And people could barely fix it then, and now there's less people to help you fix it.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Like this, I mean, my guess is they outsource level 1 just because it's cheaper. I mean, obviously all these moves are to cut costs and just be like to pretend that they're making more money than they actually are because they don't have to pay these people anything anymore. Not that they probably paid them well anyway, because we know how that works. But it's just. Again, who's next to go? Stores are next to go.
Stores are next, yeah.
That's
the biggest key.
All of a sudden, you're going to start hearing like the store's done in 2 weeks. Who can help close it down? Like
all these dead mall videos that I watch where I still see a GameStop. I imagine those are the stores that will now finally be going. So
finally, they might.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
I wouldn't, because we've talked about it before. But like dead malls, like the rent in dead malls is cheap. They want anything to be in there that could possibly pay them any money, and GameStop will take it. But maybe this is the year where they finally realize we don't need to do this anymore.
Exactly.
We don't need to be the only store left in a mall that has a food court with some local place. Like, and it's
and what used to be a Taco Bell. Yeah. No, I know. Like,
It's just
it's wild.
Speeding up towards the end, man.
Now, one question I'll ask real quick, and we'll move on to the next email. It's still the Chewy.com guy, right?
I'm pretty sure Chewy is still in charge.
That has not changed?
Yeah.
Okay.
He just
refer to
doesn't,
him as Chewy.
I don't think he has as much of like a public or even like a professional like persona about it anymore. Because I remember there's some kind of earnings call a little while ago. He wasn't even on it. And it's
really?
Like when the CEO isn't even fucking on it, maybe that's a problem. He's not CEO, sorry. Like, you know what I mean? But like if he's not there, that might be a problem for your business if he's not there.
Yeah, if he's not there.
Yeah.
I was curious. You know, my girlfriend, we've been watching Undercover Boss, and she asked me, like, have they ever done that for GameStop? And I just laughed.
Oh
continuously. I'm like, God. There's no fucking way that would have ever happened.
Died.
So many CEOs.
They could have pulled that. They could have pulled that off back in like the 20.
The show started in 2010, so
yeah, I'm saying they you know what?
Mid 2000s.
They could have pulled it off around the PS4, Xbox One range,
maybe,
just because the company was doing well. And like, remember Tony Bartel? They could have had him do it.
Yeah,
they could. That would have been funny. Give him a mustache and dye his hair or something. Make him. Be, you know what? They'll make Tony Bartel be a GA for 3 hours. He'll fucking crack. I don't understand. He wouldn't understand a single thing that works. He wouldn't. He'd be so confused why all his sales pitches don't work. Walk over there and be like, wow, you know, the what? Oh, I can't even remember what the card is. Power Rewards card. I would have loved to see Tony Bartel try to sell a random person a Power Rewards card. I would have laughed my ass off because I've seen other people do it. I've seen LP try to do it, and that's like, yeah. Oh, you remember our one LP guy. The big guy.
Oh yeah.
He would like talk to customers. He was such an awkward, weird motherfucker that you would literally be like, if you saw him trying to talk to somebody, you'd have to like nope, just kind of like work your way in there and be like, hey man, why don't you go do something else? I'll take care of it. Because he was so fucking weird. It was awful. Some days he would just hang out at your store for like 4 hours. Like, dude, fucking leave.
Yeah. I can't remember that now.
He was terrible.
But yeah, I laughed when she said that because I was like, no,
that's
God.
Never happened. I would have killed to see
that's
that.
That's nice of you to think that.
They would have thought it was such a good idea until they actually did it, and then they probably would have been like, "Don't air this."
Exactly. So, next email. This is actually the person that emailed in our last episode. Chris again from North Bend, Washington. Hey all, thanks for taking my email last episode. Because Kyle mentioned it, I wanted to say that while I live near Tweed's Diner, which is the Twin Peaks Diner, I'm not the biggest fan of the show, but that diner rules. My significant other and I eat there at least once a week. If you ever visit here, it's a must-visit stop. And yes, they do have damn fine coffee. So I laugh because my girlfriend and I actually were talking the other day because we're talking about like she wants to do, when we eventually get married here, she wants to do honeymoon in Las Vegas. I'm like, no, I want to go to North Bend, Washington. So I don't know. We'll see where we end up.
You can hang out there. You can go down to Oregon and go to the Twilight places. Cal, I know you love Twilight.
Well, my thing every time she's like, well, I really want to go to Vegas, and I tell her like, well, that's fine. We'll retire in Washington.
There you go. You'll retire. You'll buy the diner.
Yeah. No, I would love to own it.
There you go.
I don't. I've looked it up on like I've done a lot of research on that area, and I think it would be. And she does want to go, but it's not like she has no interest going.
Sure.
She's a big fan of Twin Peaks as well, but she really just wants to go to Vegas. I'm like, maybe. So,
Vegas is a lot of fun.
Not my scene.
I've only been to Vegas. I've only been to Vegas for work.
For conferences, right?
Fine. Yeah.
Probably out of that context, it'd be a lot better.
I guess it would depend. It depends on when you go, I think, because we always ended up going. It was 110 degrees outside. You're just like, what the hell is wrong with this place?
Yeah.
Next email we got about, of course, Hogwarts Legacy. I'm surprised nobody's asked this yet. John from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hey all, thanks for hopefully reading my email if you choose to, and if you don't, I understand. In the past few episodes, you briefly mentioned Hogwarts Legacy with the desire to play the game. With all the controversy surrounding the game, I just wanted to say I think it's refreshing to hear anyone overlooking the controversy surrounding this title and actually just want to play and talk about it. I can understand why some people are upset, but a boycott of it just seems ridiculous when we were talking about a single person who probably has never even picked up a controller to try the game. I don't think that person's ever played a game in their life. Thanks for showing some integrity, guys. Love the show. And the brief thing I'll say about it is, like, None of us here condone what J.K. Rowling said.
No.
The people, like Harry Potter, him fucking self has come out and not condoned what she said. Daniel Radcliffe, I think the girl too, Emma Watson.
Yeah, none of them are. I would assume
this game is made by a team of almost 1,000 people. You can literally make whatever character, whatever gender you want in the game. Like, it's so far from that specific person. And I agree. Like, I'm sure she was given some sort of, like, notification, hey, we're making this game. I don't think she'll ever play it. I don't think she's ever seen anything on it. She doesn't care.
It just comes up on a check somewhere that she gets.
She'll have to. That's the unfortunate part. She will get money off of it, but again, it's her creation.
Sure.
I don't think that it should affect people that are fans of it. I mean, again, we live with that. That's just the culture that we live in. There's certain things that I still watch where maybe this actor, that actor's not looked upon fondly today. It's a product of the time. So
there's just like it is difficult for some people to separate like work from the author, and I get it.
And I get it for the people that are like, no, they're taking their stance and they're like, no, I'm not going to play the game. That's fine. That's your choice.
Absolutely.
So,
but I just don't think.
I honestly, and the other thing, I'll let you go. The other thing I'll say, like for me, honestly, I'm not even the biggest Harry Potter fan. The reason I want to play the game is because it reminds me of fucking Bully, and I'm excited about the school aspect of it. That's why I want to play it. It doesn't really have that much to do. I mean, I've seen all the Harry Potter movies. I read all the books as a kid. Like, I enjoyed that story, but I'm going into it as, hey, man, somebody's making a Bully-like game almost. Like, and you can be evil in it. And I'll probably be evil in it. So, like, I'm excited about that aspect of it. That's why I'm going into the game. And I'm just like, the controversy, I'm just like, I get it, but I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
So.
Like I said, it's hard to separate, like, art from the artist. And I get it. And I don't know. I think if you live in a world where you try to pick apart every little thing that comes out and like, did anybody involved with it have a problem? It's like you're living in you're asking for problems. Like, can you play a Call of Duty game if you want to go deep? No, not really. Can you know what I mean? Like if Bobby Kotick worked on it, can you play it? Maybe not.
I'll give you a real good very topical idea or version of this. My girlfriend is obsessed with High on Life, right? Loves the fucking. She loves the Firestorm. She's on her third play. Yeah. She's on her third playthrough this game. She cannot stop playing it, and she's brought it up, because we talked about the whole thing with that guy and everything, and I'm just told because she's asking me, she's like, "Do you think there'll be a High on Life too?" And I'm like, maybe, but that guy would not be involved in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That studio could totally make another one. This game was hugely successful. So I could totally see a second one, but I told him, I'm like, you're going to get a different person's voice as some of these characters because the guy's not part of it.
But again,
but I don't think that should deter your enjoyment of that game.
If you can't separate the person from the creation, it's like, can anybody watch Rick and Morty anymore? No.
She just watched all
right.
That.
Can you there's so many things that if you really want to do it, you can't enjoy it. Like you're taking that away from yourself. Again,
exactly.
If you think your best way to take a stand on this is to not buy the game and vote that way, please do it. Like, please do it. But also, I don't think we should be at a point where we're telling each other what to do about this game. Where
that's the problem I have.
You can't play Hogwarts because you're a bad person because she's a bad person. And come on, man.
Just because I'm going to play the game doesn't mean I have her views.
Well, and the thing too,
you know what I mean?
How many people on the team that made this game have her views? I bet you.
Exactly.
I bet you.
Very little.
I bet you there's a couple, but I bet you it's not everybody.
It's not the majority.
But and if you're boycotting against her, great. But you're also hurting the people that made this game. You're hurting. There's a lot of people. There's so much more to this than just her. I get it. She's the creator, but it's also not like Harry Potter is going away. It'll never go away. There's already rumors that they're going to reboot these fucking movies. Like, my God.
I don't need a reboot of Harry Potter.
No, it's way too soon for that. But it's never going to go away. And Rick and Morty is never going to go away. Now, do some people who watch Rick and Morty share his views on what he did? Absolutely. But a lot of people don't. It's just
I'll give you one other example because it's a recent thing I watched. Every time that I'm sick, my favorite movie to watch is 1983 Michael Keaton classic Mr. Mom.
Oh.
At the time that movie came out, it was highly unusual for a dad to be a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, sure.
You watch that movie today, that concept, it doesn't make sense 40 years later.
You watch a lot
Literally
of stuff.
40 years later, there's a lot of dads that are stay-at-home dads, but at that time, that was not a thing.
You can watch, you can watch stuff from 10 years ago and just be like, this couldn't be made today, and for good reason, But I don't know. We could sit here and argue about this all the time.
We could, yeah.
The point is like, if you want to play the Harry Potter game, play the Harry Potter game. If you don't want to play the Harry Potter game, don't play the Harry Potter game. I've seen some pretty bullshit arguments where it's like, well, if you really want to play it but you don't want to support her, you can just like rent it or buy a pre-owned. It's like, so you can separate the fact that you paying for it supports her, but just playing the game doesn't. Like, come on, man. We're really pulling it.
Yeah,
like,
we're pulling
either you're okay with the game existing or you're not how you pay for it and how you play it.
Like, also, where are you renting that from in 2023? Gamefly or Redbox?
So
probably not, because it was already stolen.
Well, yeah, it's already been returned with a paper disc in its place with Harry Potter spelled wrong on it.
Yeah.
So yes, Harry Potter. Like, Kyle, you pre-ordered it. You're gonna get it.
I reserved it. I'm excited.
I'm gonna wait for a sale. I'm gonna wait for a sale and probably play through it. But it does. I'm more interested in like the aspects of the game, like exploring the house and going. It sounds stupid as hell, but going to class and learning stuff.
Yeah.
And relationships and like all the cool puzzles.
I'm doing it on PS5. I mean, you want to get in an argument about anything with this game? Get an argument with this exclusive content.
Yeah. Let's see how it's
I'm only getting it for PS5 because I'm literally only getting it for PS5 because I want to play that mission because it interests me.
Right.
But I hate that I have to pick a platform.
You want to boycott it to hurt somebody? Buy it on Xbox so Sony doesn't get your
There you go.
That. That we support. But don't buy it on Switch. Please don't buy it on Switch.
No, don't buy it there.
Don't show that Switch games are okay for third party.
I looked at like everything that's coming out between now and like April, and I'm like, I don't really have anything in February besides Octopath, and I probably won't even play Octopath right away. That's just a purchase and put away because it's going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll get Hogwarts and play it. Yep. You know, so I'm gonna play it. I don't know. We'll talk about it once I get through it.
Maybe I'll borrow it from. Maybe I'll rent it from you.
I mean, it's a single player game.
Yeah, when you're done
though. Let's see here. We got another grant from Redacted. So we got a lot of GameStop emails this week. I did not take them all. Like I said, I took the ones that were different enough. So I do thank everybody that did write in.
Please submit them because we like them, but
know that we read them.
Yes.
So, hey dudes, current GameStop manager. I wanted to reach out after what I can say has been likely the worst week I've ever worked at this company, just to ask a simple question. Did you all ever have an experience like what's happened with the stores this week, where you get kicked in the gut this hard? We lost our DM. Currently, no idea who will take the reins of that position, and I'm now an SL3, which means I am managing 3 stores, one of which is an hour from my hometown.
Oh my God.
I want to quit and throw in the towel so badly, but I fear for not being able to find something to support my family. But I am just as close to the edge. What would you say to help a former GameStop brother out? Thanks.
Well, here's a perfect example. SL3, 3 stores. One is an hour from his hometown. Like, come
I can't even imagine that.
No, man.
I can't even imagine.
I think I heard with this recent realignment that some of these stores, like the districts, cover multiple states. Why is that even feasible anymore? Why do you have districts anymore? What's the point anymore? Like, just make them regions and be done. But
I mean, again, we just got done saying it, but I would say it again. Like, if you think, and you didn't put in here how long you've been a manager at GameStop, but you have the skills to go out and get something else. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't stick around much longer being an SL3. I mean, it does suck that the chances are by the end of March you'll probably be back to at least an SL2 because I'm sure one of those stores will probably close. But is it going to be the one you want if it's that one that's an hour away that you don't want to drive to when you do? Probably not.
My thought would be if you are an SL2 or a 3 for this matter, that position exists. That position exists specifically so they can kind of identify which of those 2 stores needs to go. Right?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
If you can run both of these, we can kind of manage them against each other. This one can go, kind of a thing. You know, we talked about this a little bit, but like a week that would kick me in the gut this hard, nothing until like, you know, the day I was told we were closing. I mean, it was
that's still
it was
hard.
A downer. It was hard. Like I wasn't
No.
I wasn't like beside myself, but I mean, obviously you think like at the time I had, specifically, I had a kid and a kid on the way. And for them to be like, your store is gone, that's an oh shit. You kind of sit there and you're like, how the hell am I going to do this kind of thing? But you know, again, I've said it before, I was offered to stay and I could have at the time. And you know, obviously now 8 years later or not 8 years later, 4 years later, it was a good choice. Because shit has really hit the fan. But sure. Yeah, I don't even know what my life would be like now. If I was still around, I'd probably be in SL2, I would assume, which would suck. I would hate it, especially because like the one store was an hour from my house. But you know, that's a kick in the gut, and then the whole thing becomes a process of like, now I've got to tell everybody who works for me, like, hey, you know, so you know, like we're all out of jobs in a month, kind of a thing, and like that's a hard conversation to have with some people. Yeah, I mean,
even when I was there, and I was there for most of the end. I wasn't there for the last 6 months of that store, but like, you knew the writing was on the wall. I mean, we worked our asses off every year to keep it open, but like more and more stuff left that shopping center. That landlord kept being more and more of a piece of garbage. Yeah. Like
we knew,
we fought against the odds for a long time, but as soon as that lease turned to the 1 year, you know, you kind of knew like that's.
Well, it's because we pissed him off so much because he'd failed us so much, and like, you know, we put up with a lot of shit at that store, but I got so tired of having to put up with this building literally being unsafe to work in, and nobody doing anything
where
about
it was unsafe, not by our cause.
Open flames.
I just think of open flames.
Yeah, open flames. That's a number. That's probably the worst one. And my advice to you, Grant, is, maybe what you do is, you know, obviously you've got a family to support and stuff, but maybe find an hour a day or even a half hour a day to get on the computer, get your resume updated, flourish it up, make a LinkedIn profile, even though I fucking hate LinkedIn. I hate LinkedIn. I think it's trash, but companies don't. That's important. Companies don't.
They don't.
So make one of those, make an Indeed account, and just start throwing it out there. Throw it everywhere. The worst thing that happens is you go to talk to somebody about a job and you don't take it. Like, you know, like, but don't limit yourself to be like, well, I ran a GameStop, I guess I could work at a Best Buy. I ran a GameStop, I guess I could work at Target.
Absolutely.
Don't do that. Don't do that because you're a manager. You run 3 stores, 3 locations.
Yeah.
That is huge. They're going to ask you tell me about something that was difficult for your testing, and you're going to have 10 stories you could come up with immediately about how you have to run 3 different locations constantly. So
absolutely
work on that, like just half an hour a day, half an hour every other day, but make the time, find the time, schedule the time, do it. You know, there's nothing that's going to stop you from looking for another job. And then these days, so many interviews are phone interviews, Zoom interviews. You don't have to go anywhere. Stuff you can do from home, so you don't necessarily have to schedule like your work. Like, you know, if they want to interview you Tuesday at noon, you don't have to get up and go somewhere. You can just schedule yourself to close and do a half-hour interview from home. So, but make the time, and don't make excuses for making the time. Like, just like carpet bomb people with applications. Like that's all I can tell you.
I'll say. What I'll say is like the last job that I left because I couldn't stand it anymore, and this was not GameStop. I literally spent 2 weeks just bombing Indeed with application after application, and it only took me a total of like 3 weeks to get a couple interviews and get an offer for something. So that was legitimate and good, which is what I'm doing now. So like it just, all you have to do is just bomb that site with applications. Especially even right now, like a big opportunity that didn't exist a couple years ago is work from home. There's a lot of companies looking for that in the tech field specifically. And it's not for everybody. I can understand people that don't like to be in the same, you know, like I'm in my same office room 8 hours a day. That can get tiresome. At least I have windows in here, but you know, for me, it's worked out perfectly.
Right.
So, but again, not for everybody.
Well,
but if that's an option too. If you got kids, that can take off some of that burden.
Being a manager for a GameStop, like you have customer service experience. Like a lot of, I'll be fair. A lot of these jobs you're going to find out work from home and stuff are going to be customer service based, but you're probably pretty comfortable with that if you're at a point where they have chosen to make you a leader of 3 stores. So just be aware of what you're signing up for when you put out these apps. Make sure that you find out like that it is for you and not just something you're taking to get out of GameStop. I know that's tempting because believe me, there were plenty of times where I just was like, I'd be standing at work by myself and just like be like, man, I cannot take this anymore. Like I would have like all but have a breakdown. I remember one time specifically, I might have talked about before, like I called my wife and was just like, I cannot do this anymore. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I have to quit. Like I'm going crazy in here. And this was just like, quote unquote, a normal day when things were okay. Just because like the stress finally is just like, Jesus Christ. But don't take that you have to get out as a sign to take the first thing that gets offered to you too. Like, there's concessions on stuff, but I'll tell you, like now, Kyle and I we don't work weekends. It's like, think about that.
Holy shit.
As someone who runs 3 GameStops, you wouldn't have to work weekends anymore if you found something like this. It's crazy. It can be done. I would also, here's another pro tip too about Indeed and like LinkedIn and stuff. Don't work with recruiters on there. Just don't. Like, they are awful people.
They're awful.
Who are using you to get themselves paid. They will lie. They'll lie to you. I have I have a detailed story from a friend of mine who worked with a guy who used to be a district leader at GameStop, who's a recruiter on there now, who lied to him for months. So,
I can attest to that. Not before this job, but before I worked at the Mac place after GameStop, I had briefly tried to work with a recruiter. It's trash.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. They are just using.
They're trying to fill quotas for you.
Bullshit interviews. Yep. And they will lie to you about like specifics of the job interview. Like I could tell you, I went on before I cut ties to that recruiter. I went on 2 or 3 interviews where I was not told like, oh, this is just a temporary thing.
Yep.
And then I'm in the awkward situation, and then I'm told after you by the guy, well, they really liked you, but didn't like your reaction to it being temporary. I'm like, it's because I wasn't fucking told it was temporary, Like,
so Kyle, you're gonna sell steak knives door to door. How do you feel?
Exactly. You said you like working on your feet, so no. Exactly how it is. So, our final email. This is a first. We got a game recommendation for a game not to play.
Love it.
Which I thought was humorous. This comes to us from Frank from Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin. He says, "Hi guys, love the show. I know you all ask for recommendations, but I actually have a game I recommend you pass on, and that is Forspoken.
I love it.
I've been excited about this game since it was shown at the pre-PS5 conference back in 2020, and man, what a massive letdown it's been. This game runs poorly when it really shouldn't on a PS5. The dialogue is cringe at best, and honestly, it's not even telling an intriguing story. Games are $70 now. They need to step it up."
I love it.
Yeah, I play. I think I'm the only person here that played the demo.
Mm-hmm.
I got the feeling just from playing the demo that it was not a game I was going to care for. I am surprised given usually, and this is not a first-party Sony game, they just paid for the marketing and the exclusivity for 2 years for some reason. But
well, not that that's going to matter anymore.
I'm surprised though, because like at least from the trailers and what I played, like graphically, like it looks like a PS5 game, but I from the dialogue, this is a character, and we talked about it before with some of these other PlayStation exclusives. Main characters are talking too much in games now, telling you where to go, what to do. Yeah. Oh, there's something over behind this rock. Oh, that thing's over there. Hey, you should go this way. Hey, you should do this. Like
the game has an option apparently to turn it down, like for her talking. My suggestions to developers would be if you have to put in an option in your game to turn down the amount of time somebody talks, it's too much.
Don't do it.
They did that in High on Life.
Right. But if that is an option, like if that is something you have to consider to put in your game, because like, some people might not like this, it means nobody likes it. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Stop.
Maybe there's a reason why Link doesn't speak.
Yeah. I mean, probably. Yeah. Yeah, so like it's funny because I was varying degrees of like interested in the game before it came out. We talked about it. Like I was up and down. It's a Square game. I tend to buy most of them. I mean, I fucking bought.
It's the only other game that is on the Final Fantasy 15 engine.
Right. The
Luminous engine.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 15 came out how long ago? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Now you know. Like
so yeah, I mean, it's funny like reading the reviews and like the memes. Like it looks bad. Like the characters and like the NPCs.
It's already
real bad.
It is already $60 by the way.
It's already down.
I saw that in 1 week.
It might be the kind of thing where. Go ahead, Matt.
I was just gonna say I showed a picture that you guys sent of the side-by-side comparison to the actor and to the screenshot.
Yeah, not even close.
My wife immediately she was like, "Oh my god, they did her so wrong," and I was like, "Yeah, that's just sad.
It's ridiculous."
Yeah, it's just it might be the kind of thing where I finally jump in at 20 or 30, just because. But even then, I'd have to find time to play it, and I don't think I care.
Exactly.
Well, I'll remind the audience, you've platinumed Marvel's Avengers.
I have, twice.
So
well, technically once, but
and you are currently playing Babylon's Fall.
Well, that's for a platinum.
You know,
I'll do. I'll do it. I'll do it at some point, but it's got to be.
No, I was just out on it. It's unfortunate because I really think in a different timeline, this could have been a really cool idea for a video game.
Yeah.
The character looks like, again, and we talked about that character model, but that character looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was what interested me in the game when they showed that character running around in this world. I'm like, that seems interesting, but what a disappointment. Mm-hmm. So, I will tell you, I'm not going to play it. So, but again, as always, thank you for all of your emails. Continue to email us, and especially GameStop stuff. If you got more stories about Black Tuesday or any of that stuff.
Any stories.
More I'd love to hear from more district leaders that quote unquote get it.
Yeah, that's
fun. Nice.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
So I think that helps our audience too to realize that they're not all bad people. So, but yeah, as always, send your emails to podcast572@gmail.com. And we will be back in another 2 weeks for another edition of the podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.